My job as a historian for the 87th is to pretty much, I'm the Air Force historian, so I'm only writing on the 87th Air Base Wing of the Air Force history.
Okay.
Everything that I write has a primary source supporting document to go with it. So I have a bachelor's in world military history.
What key life experiences have formed who you are today?
So I'm an Air Force brat, and then I joined the Air Force. So the Air Force is the only life I know. I've been with it since day one of my life. I've always had an interest in the fact that I was able to move around and live in a bunch of different places. I spent a lot, I lived in England as a kid. I lived in Germany as a kid. I was stationed in Germany when I was active. So being able to experience different cultures and kind of see that history is I've always had an interest in history. So I actually met the historian that was in this office that I'm in now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's kind of interesting that the path to become a historian for this base started at the threshold of my door right here. So
after you met the historian, is that when you decided to go to get your world military history degree?
Yes.
But how did you become passionate and involved in our city, the base?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been here since 1995. So the fact that I had spent most of my career here, and I met my wife here, she's from New Jersey. So that kind of motivated me to sort of put roots down for the first time. So that's really where that comes from. It's important for me to be able to keep the heritage of this installation alive.
Things change, and it's more based on like the military needs versus what the history of the base. Yep. So what are your core values and how are they reflected in your work?
Well, I think I'm carrying over the Air Force core values,
Right.
So that excellence in what I do and that integrity of making sure that it's accurate, because our grandkids and our grandkids potentially are gonna need to read that or have access to that, and it needs to be accurate.
Why is our city a great city? Why is our base a great city?
Well, you gotta look at the fact that this is the only tri-service installation. So this is the only joint base that has Army, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, Camp Dix, then later Fort Dix has been here since 1917. So it's been here over 100 years. Lakehurst, it's been in existence for a little bit longer than that. And then, the airfield has been here since the 1920s.
Into this, what causes, projects, and activities are you involved in?
So I do a lot of heritage outreach. I've developed because of COVID. Normally I would do tours. I developed a virtual tour that you could drive yourself. Do a lot of obviously inquiries. I get a lot of inquiries, and then commander's calls. And I have relationships established with some of the historical societies around the local area. Mount Holly has one. New Egypt has one. There's Burlington County has a Armed Forces Heritage museum program. So the other unique thing about this joint base is we're the only installation that has 5 Air Force historians on it.
So what other creators who are focused on similar causes, projects, and activities have influenced you?
Really, it's 2 people. Gary Boyd, he's the command historian for ATC. Okay. He was actually sitting in the seat. And then Dr. Roy Cross was the historian at Beale. He's the one who really got me to understand that you can't read something, you can't look at something when you're doing research and say, okay, well, here's what it is, right? There's always more to the story. You got to dig deeper.
What would you recommend I do to become a future creator in our city?
It is a never-ending learning process, and that's really the one thing, is understanding that you're not going to know everything. You're not going to learn everything, right? I want to be a historian. Other than, hey, go get a history degree. Right. Understand you're going to do a lot of writing. The one thing is you always have to remember and understand that it's an endless learning environment.